This is the moment that Huddersfield Town fans have been dreaming of for years and years.
Town. be a sea of clouds and amber, you will hear us chant.
Can you hear? Can you hear?
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Brighouse Town TV.
Away!
A very special guest on the YouTube channel. And if you'd like to ask any questions to our special guest, please ask them in the comment section. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Brighouse Town TV. Tonight we have a very special guest on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to ask any questions to our special guest, please ask them in the comment section and we'll try and get them asked to him. Just a bit of housekeeping. If this is your first time to the channel, please ensure to hit the subscribe button and follow Brighouse Town on all of your social media channels, including Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. And be sure to check out the website brighousetownafc.co.uk. On to the main event. I'm honoured and delighted to be joined by ex-Bradford City, Newcastle United, Huddersfield Town, Chester and Halifax, and former Huddersfield Town, Lincoln and Bradford City manager Peter Jackson. Jacko, how are we doing?
Good day, Mark. You? Fine, thank you.
Good. How's lockdown been for yourself?
Difficult. I mean, because I'm in the hospitality business, so obviously there's no work. I worked at hospitality down at Huddersfield for the last 3 years. But I also work for the LMA, League Managers Association. So I go around the country mentoring managers. But it's now obviously FaceTime and WhatsApp and getting in touch with managers on a monthly basis. Sorry. But that's going okay. But besides that, a lot of walking and just try to keep healthy and safe.
Good. That's good to hear. Let's start talking a bit about your playing career, Jacko. And there's actually no better place to start. Having a playing career than at your hometown club, and for yourself that was Bradford City. What were your emotions like when you first stepped out onto the Bradford City football pitch, knowing it is your hometown club?
It was a fantastic experience. As you say, I was from Bradford. I was born in Buttshaw, moved to Shelf, moved over to Heaton, and I went to school at Lycroft, which is probably a mile away from Valley Parade. You could see the floodlights from the playground at Lycroft. So obviously to go on and captain the club and play for the club, it was a fantastic honour. But I had a quick uprising. I made my debut at 16. I was captain at 18. So I had a rapid rise through from playing in the A team to the reserves into the first team. But it was a magical experience, particularly the year, obviously, of the coming together of Stuart McCall, John Hendry and Greg Abbott, Mark Ellis. We had a fantastic team spirit, But to answer your question, it were memorable times for me, as all my clubs were, but particularly my first club, which was my hometown club. It was special.
Excellent. And you were the club's youngest ever captain when you lifted the third division title in '85. That must have been a special moment for you.
It really was, but obviously what happened after it all got taken away, basically. And it was the fire what obviously got all the heads on, and rightly so. But it was a really difficult time for myself and the club and the team. Remember, we were such a young team at the time, and we had to go to places like Pinderfields and Bradford Royal Infirmary to see the people that were burnt in the fire. So it was quite humbling at times when you see somebody with 34% burns on them and all they wanted to talk about was next season promotion for the second division as it was then, and arranging players to go to funerals and go to fundraising events. So it was really, really difficult period for the players, the club, the supporters and the city of Bradford as well. Yeah,
and having been your first spell at the club, how did you find it at such a young age playing men's football?
I loved it, absolutely loved it. At that time, Dave, you played in reserves or the A team, and there'd be players in the 30s coming to the end of their career. There were no under 17s, under 18s then. So I was playing with men from the age of 16 probably in the A team and in the reserves. But it's a massive step up. When you go from junior football,
you first felt like I was playing for being a junior playing men's football.
And then 12 months later, 15 months later, I'm running that at Anfield with Bradford City in a League Cup tie. And it was just a huge step up, but a step up that I made quite well.
Excellent. From Bradford City, you then moved on to Newcastle United, and from a special someone at the club, I've heard that you won the Player of the Year over a certain Paul Gascoigne. That must have been special, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you a full story on that. So I arrived in Newcastle, and I remember I'm a Bradford lad, and no one really knew me outside Bradford or West Yorkshire. Then obviously moved to a First Division club that is now a Premiership club, And a club like Newcastle will get 40,000 fans week in, week out, take 12,000 away from home. So to go up the A1 and have my medical and move onto the ground to St James's Park and walk in and wear the blue and white shirt was absolutely magnificent. You can imagine, I've been playing at the likes of Carlisle and Aldershot. All of a sudden, I'm running out at Chelsea and Arsenal and Tottenham and Man United and Liverpool week in, week out, not just on a cup basis, on a regular basis. So I loved every minute of it, as you can imagine. And in that time, I managed to play in all 92 grounds throughout the country, because at that time there were no relegation from the Football League. But obviously it won't be done again because teams go up and down. But going up your other thing about winning that main award, and it's still in my son's bedroom, is that at the end of the season, we were bottom of the league basically when I went Newcastle. And we went on a really good run. We brought in the likes of Paul Goddard from West Ham. And as I say, we went on a really good run and we managed to stay up. And at the end of the season, Bradford City, on the last Sunday of the season, we played on the Saturday, on the Sunday, the Player of the Year Awards, and Bradford were having theirs. And they wanted me to come down to Bradford to present the trophy. So I went to Willie McFall, the manager. I said, listen, Willie, I won't be needed tomorrow. Can I go down to Bradford? He said, no, you have to come to the Player of the Year Award. If you don't come, I'm fining you a week's wages. It's no brainer. That's up in Newcastle. So I went to the club opposite, the ground at the time. There was a Blue Star Brewery opposite, and they had a big social club. There might have been 1,000 people in this social club. So I walk into the club, I'm sat at the back, and all the players went to the front and then went into the crowd. And in third place, we have Peter Beardsley. Peter Beardsley then were England International. In second place, we have Paul Gascoigne, under 21 international, on the brink of the England first team. And in first place, we have Peter Jackson. I could not believe it. Do you know, you go into a room thinking, I've no chance of winning this. I might come in top 3, I might come second, but to actually win the Newcastle United Player of the Year Awards in front of the 2 players I've just mentioned, I must have been something special that season, and I loved it. It was great.
Excellent. Talking about Newcastle now, obviously not doing so well in the Premier League. What do you think's going wrong up there at the minute?
Newcastle, for years and years, have always said they're a big club, and they are a big club. And people used to say that to me, and I thought, well, are they a big club? But until you actually play for them and pull on the shirt of Newcastle United, you don't realise what a big club it is. But every year, for the last 1969, I think the last trophy they won, which was the First Cup. I think they won the old First Division Championship under Keegan. But they've not won trophies. People say Newcastle's a bit out on the limb. They can't attract players like Manchester can do or London clubs can do, and it's on a bit of a limb. But they always seemed great expectations are expected. Like when they were mid-table, Newcastle, up until a couple of weeks ago, people were saying they should be higher. Newcastle will never probably get higher than 8th. They need someone to go into that club with the energy and the passion that the supporters show and put 500-600 million into it. But there's not many of them people around. They go for London clubs or Manchester, places like that. They won't go to Newcastle. And until they get that investment, they'll never be a top 6 club.
Yeah. After Newcastle, he then went back to Bradford City.
Yeah.
What were the reasons behind that? Were it a case of not getting football at Newcastle? Did you just want to go back to a club that you loved? What was the reason going back to Bradford City?
I let my heart rule my head. I could have gone to Stoke or Blackburn at that time. Alison was just giving birth to my son Oliver. We had 2 children and just giving birth, and Bradford came back in for me. And I said, I'll go for talks. So I came down for talks, and the kids were in the car, and we drove back, and we started looking at houses. But I feel the only time in my career I've let a group of supporters down was when I came back to Bradford for the second time. Great expectations of me personally, because they just lost McCall, just lost Tendra, but they brought me back as a big local hero, returning to the club. And I signed, and I went back to Appley Bridge for my first training session, and this is no lie. I knew as soon as I turned up that first day, that I made a mistake. I just knew it. I went into the same environment I'd worked so hard to get out of. For 8 years I've been at the club, and I've been in a situation where I'd reached the top and then I slipped back down to the second division, but with the same changing rooms, the same people, and I just felt then I'd made the wrong decision. So I went back and signed a 5-year contract. And don't get me wrong, I did look time going back, but I never played to my full potential. I got released on a free transfer to a 5-year contract, and I went to Huddersfield, and I just went like that. And I won the Player of the Year award, and obviously went on to be manager. But I knew straight away I'd made a mistake. And players, if they don't say that when they've signed at a club, they're not telling the truth. But I'm telling the truth, and I really did feel I let people down. And it was a shame, because I built up the reputation of 8 years of being the captain and leader of the club, and one of the first players probably to hit the big time in Bradford for a lot of years. So I just feel I let people down the second time when I came, and I didn't do myself or the club justice.
Yeah, sounds interesting, that, to be fair, Jacko. Looking at Bradford now in League Two, they didn't start off the season too well under one of your pals, Stuart McCall, but under Truman and Connor Sellers, looking good so far. They've made some good signings, haven't they, in the transfer window?
Yeah, they've made some good signings. And if I pass him in the street, I wouldn't know Truman. And full marks to him for two young lads to take over a club, such a big club with big expectations, as we talk about at big clubs. These two young lads have taken it on board. They've gone down the route before of replacing with experienced managers, and probably if they lost the first two games, what's happening? They needed to get off the ground running, which they did. They had a couple of really good results, and they've gone on from their side some really good, bringing the players in. I can't remember his name. He's bringing the players in, and they're coaching them and organising them, and they're getting results now. They are getting results, and full marks to him, because I know how difficult it is being a football manager and the pressure that brings. But they have had no professional background at a professional club, but full marks to him. That goes into management. I know how hard it is. That's why I never criticise managers, because it is a difficult job, and like I say, well done.
Yeah, we're all hoping, fingers crossed, that they do well this season at Bradford. So in 1990, you made the move to Huddersfield Town, and you played under the likes of Owen Hand, Ian Ross, and Neil Warnock. For people that don't know Neil Warnock, what's he like to play under?
Warnock? It's different. He wrote in his book, Huddersfield wasn't big enough for Peter Jackson and Neil Warnock, so one of us had to go. He was manager and I was centre-half, so I had to go. I think what Neil Warnock resented about me is that was so popular at the club in terms of the fans, with the board, and the starts did Neil Warnock at the club. We lost the first couple of games, people asking questions. He was quite smart in what he did, Neil Warnock. He set me up, I was captain, leader of the club, and then he said, well, you're 33 now, I'll give you a little coaching role. So people then thought I was on side with Neil Warnock. He gave me the opportunity, me and Kevin Blackwell, to run the reserves. So I made that step up, which I appreciated, got me badges and full badges. But as soon as the club started winning, we got to Wembley in the autoclass. I went out of the way. He gave me a free transfer, and I went to Chester for the remaining 3 years of my career. But it was quite smart how Warnock played it. Well, I think you either love him or you hate Neil Warnock, but you can't knock him. Once again, to look at him, I'm telling you, he's 70 and he's still in management, and he's 1,500 games. I do not know, because I know how difficult it is week in, week out. So I'm not a great fan of his, and we're not on each other's Christmas card lists. But he sort of get me on that coaching role when I was much younger.
Yeah, excellent. And you also became a fan's favourite down at Town. How special the times down at Leeds Road? Oops, I'll get in trouble for that.
No, Ellen Road's that way. Road's that way. Huddersfield Town's that way.
I'll get in trouble for that.
Good time. They were really good times because as I left Bradford under a little bit of a cloud, and I needed to, and I did that. And I used to drop my kids off drop my kids off at school. I could pick my kids up from school. How good's that? And I've got a job where I can drop my kids off at school and I can pick them up. And footballers, they take it for granted. But I look back on my career, there's not many dads in the country would have done that. But going back to Huddersfield, as soon as I arrived, it was the old stadium on Leeds Road. I walked through the big, I've played there before, and you walk through these big oak doors, walk into the field, and as soon as I stepped onto that pitch, I went, this is for me. I just instantly loved it from day one. Walked into the club, boom, and I became captain straight away. And I thought, yeah, I used to train, obviously in the mornings, I used to stay back 3 afternoons to do extra training, do my weights, do the terracing, and I just loved it, absolutely loved it. The people around as well, around the club, it were just good times for me.
Excellent. Is there anything in your playing career that you regret?
Yeah, probably letting the fans down at Bradford City, but not much more really. I mean, because what I was basically, I was a centre half that could edit and I could kick it and I could defend a little bit. I had basically no pace, but what I used to my best ability, and my attitude was one of them. Where I had a really, really good attitude, and that's why I succeeded. And I used to, when I was in management, I used to say this to players. You know, prime example, I had a kid called John Stead at Huddersfield, who we accepted 1.3 million from Blackburn. We were in the second division. Second division. When I got appointed, he came into the club from the young academy, played him, and before Christmas he went to Blackburn. Then we're at a placement, young kid coming in with a kid called John Makaleski, big 6'4" kid, gangly, but he had amazing talent. And he was in the first team. So I called him in. I said, listen, you've just seen what Stead's done. We've just sold him for 1.3 million. You could be the next John Stead. You could be the next player to leave this club for massive money. You've got a decision. In 2 years, you'll be driving a Porsche or a Peugeot. You decide, not me, you decide. What happened then? He went on the piss and his career went boom, straight off. And I saw him years ago in Tesco's in Brighouse, my favourite place by the way, Tesco's in Brighouse. And he came up to me and he admitted he pissed basically his career away. So then that's a true story. But yeah, I had some really good young kids come through Huddersfield.
Yes, and then you took your first steps into management at Huddersfield. In your first year, you kept them up, and then in your second year, you finished 10th in the league. We're starting to see the likes of Steven Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, Truman, Carlos Corberán making their first steps into management. How difficult are those few years as a manager, trying to work out what kind of systems you're looking to play?
Times have changed now. In terms, when I was manager, there was me, Terry Yorath, Lee Martin, the physio, and Hitman, that was it. I went to watch a game, Chelsea at Burnley. Chelsea had 32 staff. 32 staff. They had diet coach, fitness coach, and they just had so many staff around them that I don't know who's pulling what strings together, really. I know that it's the big clubs these, but how can a place have 32 members of staff on the bus? There's a players' bus, coach for the players, and a coach also for the staff, and there's 32 staff. But for me, basically, when I was the youngest manager in the Championship, I'm just left Halifax Town as a part-time player, 96. And it goes to Huddersfield, a Championship club. They had 4 points in October when I took over. I don't think any other team has stopped up with that lower points. And at the end of the season, we stopped up. And I look at the art of management. My coach was Terry Yorath, very experienced man, managed Wales. He played for Leeds United, and he was just really experienced coach. So I needed some experience with me. But I think as a manager, it's all about your man management of your players. You want your players to turn up week in, week out to have a go for you, for the club and for themselves. If they turn up and toss it off, you've no chance. But my players, full credit to them, turned up and had a go for me. And my personality then rubs off on everybody around me. So everybody wanted to turn up and be enthusiastic and put pride back in the club. And I certainly did that the first time, and I certainly did it the second time there. And it's a great honour, but there's an art to managing footballers. They're different from any of the other people on earth are footballers. And you have to know when to give them a bollocking, know when to praise them, know when to single them out, and be disciplined with them. But get them on your side. If you get them on your side, they can achieve miracles. And I never had the best sides, but I had teams that had really good spirits, team spirits within the club, and wanted to play for the club.
Excellent.
That's the art of management.
Like I say, in your first year, you did keep the club up. How was that as a manager, taking the club from 4 points to then keeping them up in the league? How was that for you?
Yeah. Well, we just started about Truman start and had a really good start. I was 36 and people were questioning why, supporters were questioning why they'd appointed a championship club with no experience whatsoever. I had my coaching badges, but no managerial experience. And I lost my first 4 games. First 4 games I lost. But I never lost hope that we'd stop up. And I think it was November, we had our first win. We played Stoke City at home and we beat them 3-1. And it was on Question of Sport, this. Paul Dalton picks the ball up, and what happens next? Their keeper comes up in the last minute of the game, comes up for a corner. We get a break, and Paul Dalton rolls it in from the halfway line into the empty net. And you can see me and one of the substitute for in the touchline. And that was what happened next on Question of Sport. But it was just, as soon as we won that game, after that game, I came home and I said to Alice, and my wife said, we'll stop up. This club will stop up now. And we did. And every day then, from that day on, was a learning curve from me. I didn't know. I'd never organised in team meetings or done team talks to championship footballers. I've never experienced problems that I had with players in terms of gambling and drinking, girlfriend problems, wife problems. And players were coming in and talking to me. And I'm just like a normal kid. I'm like 35-year-old kid from Brighouse, talking to these players about the problems. So psychologically and mentally, you have to be with the players. You have to be really, really knowledgeable. And every day, it was a learning curve for me for a couple of years, really. And nothing. Anybody that knocked on my door, I always let them in. And believe it or not, some of the problems players have and questions they ask you, you would not believe. You wouldn't believe.
Excellent. In 1999, your first sack, and you were sacked by Huddersfield Town. How did you take it?
Gutted. I was absolutely gutted. Really, really devastated. What happened? Like when I took over in the following October, we were top of the championship. So we were bottom and we went to the top within 12 months. This young managers no one heard of went from bottom to top, the championship, above your Middlesbroughs, your Blackburns, all these big clubs, Sunderlands. We were top. Huddersfield Town were top, and we were there on Miracle. We were playing really, really well. So what happened then? The board had offers or interest from other people. This club had gone to the top of the championship, heading towards the Premier League. So there were a little bit of interest, and obviously Barry Rubre, a multi-millionaire from Pace Electronics, bought the club. As soon as obviously when new people come into a club, they're always worried about your position, but it gave me this sort of guarantee that my job was safe at the end. We'll wait till the end of the season. I had 10 months left of my contract. Down from top to finish, I think we finished 8th that season. And at the end of the season, I had a meeting with the players all in front of me about next season, pre-season, where we were going. And a guy called Ian Hare, was Rubry's chief exec, called me in and says, Peter, can I have a quick word? Just like that. We're sacking you. Barry wants to see you at the hotel in Leeds to sort your compensation out tomorrow. See ya. That were it. See ya. See ya. And I'd given everything at that club. I was absolutely devastated. I was absolutely devastated by it all. But I had to pick myself up and move on again. But I was so harshly treated. First time and second time probably. That I ended up in a position where I'm seeking another job. So, but you go into football management, one time you got to get sacked, and it will happen.
Yeah, and then after that, you had a short spell as manager of Lincoln. How was that?
Good, really good. I enjoyed Lincoln. After I got sacked the second time at Huddersfield, I decided to take a couple of months off. So me and my wife travelled the world. I always wanted to go around the world, and we went around the world. Me and my wife for 7 weeks. Came back. Millwall job came up, and Lincoln. Applied for them both. Went down Millwall to meet the chairman twice. Then went to in between that talks. I was also talking to Lincoln, and they offered me the job straight away after me. Before I left the interview, they said, "It's your job. Do you want it?" But I'd also we'd been waiting for the Millwall job, which they were a championship club. Lincoln were bottom of the second division. They were like nearly in the conference when I took over. So I had to make a big decision, but I wasn't sure about the Millwall job. And it went to Kenny Jackett, and I took the Lincoln job. And I took Lincoln bottom of the football league to mid-table. And my career took off again, probably in management. I won 2 Manager of the Month awards. I took them to mid-table. Remember, we were rock bottom, and but then I got diagnosed with throat cancer in the April. I think it was April, March, April time. I got diagnosed with throat cancer, and how I know I had throat cancer when I first signed for Lincoln and I started talking like this was. And then my wife said, Peter, but I put it down to talking to players and bollocking players and shouting from the touchlines. As a manager, your voice is one of your tools of the trade. You can raise a law or shout or whatever, but you need your voice to talk in press conferences and things like that. And it was generally getting worse week by week. And so I went to the hospital in Huddersfield, and I got diagnosed with throat cancer stage 3, which really sickening. Really, that I went through cancer, and it's hard telling your 2 children when you come home from hospital that listen, Dad's not going to be very well for the next couple of months. So I had time off for 3 months, so it was quite worrying for me, but particularly for my family. Really, I was high in morphine most of the time.
Yeah.
Not a good time.
People watching, if you've got any questions for Peter, do ask them in the comments below, and we'll get to them towards the end of the Q&A. We'll jump back a few years now, Peter, because you did rejoin Town in 2003 and have your second spell there. You had a good 4 years at Town at that point. How key is it back then and nowadays that managers are getting a good length of time to put their ideas forward and get them onto the pitch?
What, getting time, did you say?
Yeah.
They're getting time or not getting time?
Getting time, like, how key is it that they're getting a good amount of time in management?
I'm sad that Lampard's obviously lost his job. But until you've been a manager, you don't realise what a hard job it is. Everything that goes with it. But you need to give managers time. When I first went in management back in 96, 97 sort of thing, managers probably then were getting 18 months. They're probably getting, if they lose, if a new manager loses you lose 8 and you draw 2, or you're under pressure. Any manager now that loses 5 games, the top half of the Premiership, or you're in the lower divisions, you lose 5 games on a trot, you're looking over your shoulder. You lose 6, you could be losing your job. So I think managers don't get enough time. They don't get enough time to, like, it'd have been easy for Huddersfield, for me, after stay at Peter. You're 4 games in, we're still bottom of the league, you've lost your first 4 games, you've been hammered, we're getting rid of you. But they give you more time then to try and build something. What's the point of appointing a manager and saying, listen, So you're the chairman of the football club, and I go, listen, chair, young players through, hopefully progress to the first team. We get better, we sell players, everybody's happy. Oh, fantastic idea. All of a sudden, you lose your first 5 games, but the academy kids, they've won every game, they've won the Youth Cup. That don't matter. All that matters is the first team winning. That is literally all that matters. 3 points on a Saturday. Not how the youth teams do it and how many young players are coming through. That don't matter. It results-based industry. All that happens on a Saturday. That's the most important. Not how the youth teams do it and how many young players are coming through. That don't matter. It results-based industry. All that happens on a Saturday. That's the most important thing at a football club. Not the development of bringing young players through. And the club, I think Huddersfield are trying to go down that route at the moment in terms of what they're trying to do. And as I say, it's difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to say in your second spell in that first year, you did win promotion. And in that first year, you did use a number of young players. How key is it to kids nowadays, age 15, 16, 17, when they're looking to join an academy, looking to see that they've got a club that they could potentially play for the first team because they know that the head coach will use them? Like, how key is that for kids nowadays?
When I was managing, I used to attract players to the club because they looked at a team sheet and thought, went to MK Dons, we played 9 outfield players, from the that had come through the academy. So we used to attract schoolboys and best players in Yorkshire because I was seen as a manager that if they were good enough, I would play them in the first team. Say you're a young kid and you get offered a contract at Man United or Man City or Arsenal, Liverpool, something like that. You have to be something special to get into that team. So my advice to younger players is look of how many players have come through their academies. A manager playing young players in the first team, not going out. You look at Frank Lampard when he first got appointed Chelsea manager, he got embargoed, didn't he, signing players. So he had to play the young academy players, and all them came through. Were fantastic for him. Then he makes big money signings. They all failed, and Frank's lost his job on the back of that. So I would, if I was a young player, I would look and say, there's 7 players in that first team, 5 players have come through, 6 players, whatever, and just say, this club and this management will give me a chance. And that's why so many players, I feel, get lost in the game. Where did they go? I was a schoolboy for Bradford boys and Keighley boys, and I managed to play for Yorkshire boys, which is a massive county. We know North, South, West Yorkshire. It was Yorkshire, big county. And so you play for Yorkshire, and then to play for England, you have to be something special. And I never was that good enough. But the 18 schoolboys that represented England that year, my year at school, none of them went on to play a league game. All got contracts at club, 2-year contract, but never went on to a professional club. Steve McLaren was in the same Yorkshire side as me, by the way, and he wasn't as good as me though.
So you did end your management career at the club you started playing at Bradford City. Was that always the plan for yourself?
It was what? Sorry.
Was that always the plan for yourself to end your whole?
Not really, Tim. It came up, and I thought I'd apply for this job because, like I say, I captain this side. I'm from Bradford, and my family never wanted me to leave Bradford for Newcastle. But by that, I don't know why you said that, but I thought I'll have one last go at management. So I went back to Bradford, and my only aim was to keep them up that season. Peter Taylor left, and he left in a bit of they were 4th, 5th bottom of the league, going down in the National League, by the way. So it was just a matter of keeping up, and I did that. I just managed to keep them up, but I inherited a team that there was no spirit there was no desire, and they were just you don't play for Bradford City and play in front of 14,000, 15,000 were attracting then, and we were 5th bottom of the 4th division or the 2nd division it is now. That's incredible for a club in our position like we were, to attract that many fans. So my remit, really, from Mark Lawn was to keep the club up, which I did. And then the following season, they offered me the job. They bought he started off as a chief scout, Archie Christie. He came as chief scout, then he became director of football. He had like 5 titles in the first 3 months. And it just got beyond a joke. So I knew then, when he came to the club and started making the decisions, that probably my time in management had probably come to an end. And I felt it was the right decision to leave with a heavy heart, obviously, because it was my hometown club. But, you know, I captained them, I managed them, I've won Player of the Year awards, I've won championships with Bradford City. So it's a time in my life I'll never forget.
Excellent. Just looking a bit now at Brighouse Town, it's obviously a club you know well, and you know our chairman, James Howard, very well. Do you still keep in touch with James a lot?
Is he still drinking? James, is he still drinking shandy? James still drinking shandy? Every time I see him, he's Strella man. But yeah, I've got a soft spot for obviously for James and for Brighouse as well. When I got transferred back to Bradford, we bought a house not far from Brighouse Town. So I've been a Brighouse lad now for 33 years. And this is the thing I like about Brighouse, right? I put my glasses on because I have to read this. We have a football club, we have a cricket club, we have a fishing club, we have rock climbing, we have a police station, we have a bus station, we have a swimming bath, we have Rick's ballroom, we have a park, we have a library. How many towns have got that? Not many, is it? No. That were my plugs for Brighouse. Welcome to Brighouse, that.
Excellent.
Yeah, but James, about James, yeah, but he's really when he was thinking about taking over the club and being chairman. I've had a couple of meetings and chats with him, and he's really keen and enthusiastic to take the club forward. And you know, we've had chats about different things about Brighouse, about players and things like that. But as I say, it needs success and results, and people will surely turn up for Brighouse. But I know he's got big plans, but we need obviously local businesses to get behind Brighouse and back him and give sponsorship and do things for them and try and push them to that next level. Look at Harrogate Town, how they do. Harrogate Town, I remember playing at Harrogate Town and taking teams there from Huddersfield. You know, Brighouse, if Harrogate Town can do it, you know, a team like Brighouse can do it. You know, why not? So, but you have to think big, but to think big, you need backers, you need sponsors, and you need people to help out with the club. And when fans go back, for the people of Brighouse to turn up and go and watch and say, tell you what, I'll take my kids up and watch Brighouse Town. It might be a tenner, you know, with kids and that, and get the kids going and get them involved, because that's what it needs. It needs fresh people going to watch Brighouse Town, particularly the young ones, to go and cheer on Brighouse Town and put money into the club. Then James can spend it all on Strella.
So at Brighouse, we've seen quite a few players come to us who have gone on to do good things. You've got the likes of Aaron Martin, who was a bit of an older head, who's now at Harrogate first team. But in terms of younger players, you've got Romani Edmonds-Green, who came to us on loan and he's now at Huddersfield first team. Finn Cousin-Dawson the same, but he's at Bradford. He came to us and he's now there ever stay right back. Tim Akinola, who's now gone to Arsenal. How key is it for these young players to get some non-league sort of...
Good, that's perfect. What you just said then, but them players have got that opportunity without going to the likes of Brighouse and getting experience, or going to Harry to get that experience and play football. I just feel at times under 23 football, under 18 football, nowadays it's physical. Well, not as physical it was when I was playing, but you know, it's a man's game, and if you're young enough, you're good enough. But you need that experience of everything, really. Just getting on a coach and going to the games, playing games, being involved in different scenarios within the game, and getting that experience. So when you get the call back to the club, you can go on and do it. You know, some players go out on loan, do nothing, and just drift out of the game. You know, but a percentage of them do go to places like Brighouse, which hopefully they'll attract, with what you've just told me, they'll attract better players, better young players, Clubs like Huddersfield are absolutely, well, we loaned him at Brighouse and James at Brighouse Town. We'll look after him, and they've done well, and we'll loan more players. And that's the future, bringing young players through and letting them go on bigger and better things. And you bring another crop of young players through, and you do that again. And, he's clued on his, James. He knows what he's doing. And hopefully over the years to come out, we might see, hopefully, national football, certainly in my lifetime.
Excellent. We'll go to a few questions now from the fans on YouTube. So we've got Sydney Longley that says, give Jacko our best wishes from the Kiefer lads, Twinnies and Tiber. We've got Adam Whitman who says, what's your most memorable game as a manager?
Most memorable game, probably, there were two, really. There were two. There was the playoff final, but I would say one. There was the game with Chelsea away in Cup, but I'd say the playoff final at Mansfield. We were a team, this is the second time around, 2003, 2004. And we turned up pre-season, had 6 players turned up for pre-season. The season were 4 weeks away. Signed players, brought young players from the academy. We went on to win promotion through the playoffs. And we managed to go to Cardiff, Millennium Stadium, and beat Mansfield on the penalty shootout. But I remember being on that touchline, and when that Lee Fowler got the winning penalty and me running onto the pitch, it was just surreal, really, a magic moment for the club, for my family and everybody surrounding the football club. So I have to say, Huddersfield v Mansfield at Millennium Stadium.
Spot on. If there was a club that you could play for that you didn't play for, which club would it be?
I always wanted to play for the Spurs because I always liked the kit. And they always have nice fitting kit, the Spurs. I don't know if you ever noticed. But have you ever noticed footballers now? When I was a footballer, I had false teeth in because I got smashed out by Mickey Quinn when I was at 19. I had no teeth, so I pulled my teeth out, put them in my pocket. No teeth, right? I had Vaseline here, Vaseline there, Vic there. I had, most games I had blood on my face. And I came off the pitch looking like a wildebeest, honestly. And I look at someone like Giroud coming off for Chelsea. It looks like a male model. Nobody gets the kit muddy anymore, do they? Have you ever noticed that? No one comes off the pitch muddy. In the Premier League, this is. But you look at Giroud, he just comes off as though just had a modelling assignment, doesn't he, on pitch? And I used to come off looking like a monster. What were your question? I can't remember what your question was. So
it was most memorable game as a manager.
But, we've done that with that Cardiff one.
Right.
That was Cardiff.
We've got D Daddy, who said, hi Peter, do you remember my dad Jim Sutton from your Salts and Air Valley Junior days?
Jim Sutton, what a legend, loved him. People like that, you see, in my career, helped me. And Mr. Risdale, Mr. Jackson, my sports teacher at school, there were so many people that it's like coaches. That when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate, like when I was under 10s, under 11s, under 12, how much time on a Sunday these managers used to take driving you about, washing kits, cleaning up, putting the nets up, and you just turn up, play and go home. They took most of the day, the Sunday off, the work, and they'd just be forgot about. But I always remember all my coaches from the time, and Jim was one of them. And the people forget, the kids forget how much time and effort these people of coaches that manage young kids at such a young age put time and effort in to managing them. But he was certainly a legend.
Excellent. Would you ever get back into management, maybe at non-leave?
No. Only job I'd take is Brighouse Town. What are you laughing at? No, I'm joking, honestly, I'm joking. No, I wouldn't do it. I'm 60 in April, and I've always said, Bradford was... I started at Bradford as a player, finished there as a manager, so I'm not really interested anymore. I watch it, I love football, I made a fantastic life and a good story from it all, but there's no interest at this time.
Nice. We'll leave it there, Peter. We've done a good 45 minutes there and we're getting no more questions that are coming through. Thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a good insight into Peter Jackson's playing and managing career there. Stay safe and we hope to see you all down at the Yorkshire Payment Stadium sometime soon. Peter, thanks for joining.